Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie and Alec. A lot of media availability to discuss today. Keli Zinn spoke to the media for about a half an hour for her first kind of media scrum of her tenure as the Rutgers athletic director after about a month on the job. We'll get into everything she said. Greg Schiano also had his game week presser for the Ohio Bobcats. We'll get into what he discussed. He spoke for about 20 minutes. And then they also spoke to Athan Kaliakmanis and Oliver Billotte, who talked about what camp was like and what preparation has been like for Ohio. But first, this podcast is presented to you once again by FanDuel. Guys, I hope you got your bets in on Rutgers the last few times we've talked about them. This was a game that opened at 10.5 with Rutgers being favored. It then jumped very quickly to 14.5 and is now sitting at 15.5. The bet I really liked, which I did get in on, was the over in this game at 46.5, which has now jumped to 49.5. So things are moving, and that's all just what's happened over the weekend. So I hope you got your bets in last week when we discussed it on FanDuel Sportsbook. But,
what do they know?
They know it's probably going to be a higher scoring affair than you would expect, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe FanDuel's been listening to us.
Yeah, they've all been listening to us. They've been active listeners, I guess. But let's start off with what Keli Zinn had to say. You guys spoke to her for about a half an hour. Ton of quotes came out of this. What were some, let's talk macro level. What were some things that kind of stuck out to you about what she said? Rich, I'll start with you.
Well, hopefully this ice cream man doesn't come back around because that was just extremely loud in my ear, and I was at the verge of yelling at him. But anyway, there will be ice cream at the Rutgers Boardwalk this week, Thursday night, so stay tuned for that. But we'll talk more about that later. Keli's in some really good, insightful stuff. Probably more insightful than I think a lot of people were expecting, especially just the local media that was in the room. But facilities-wise, coaching-wise, everything and anything you could have thought of was asked, and she not only gave an answer, she gave a very good answer on some of this stuff. I think facilities-wise, she basically said she wants to renovate the rack if possible, but didn't rule out rebuilding the rack either. She also named a couple of good things, they want more real estate with football. I thought that was really interesting. They just said it just doesn't make sense because, obviously the bubble is what it is, but you need it for some sports. But I think at the same time, football needs to have its own stuff, and some other sports got to get out of that hail, got to move away from stuff, and just give football their own stuff. They need an indoor practice facility. She brought that up. That's a big need, and that's how I think the real estate comes into play. You could do a deep dive or conspiracy theory about where they're going to put it now. I know the previous plan was, there was one plan that was where, the tennis courts were. I think that one was ruled out. Then there was another plan with the yellow lot. It sounds like that one might be ruled out. So now you have limited options. Do you build it next to the Rocket in the blue? Do you tear down the bubble, but then someone blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she talked a lot about facilities. A lot of stuff she said was on par with some of the best in the country. And we kind of knew this. The APC is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's next level. SHI Stadium, she talked about having more premium seats. I know I've said this multiple times to people already, and on here specifically, they need more premium seats in the rack. They need more premium seats in SHI Stadium in general. Even Pat said that previously. They were going to experiment with a temporary tent / premium seating type setup, and it just didn't end up working out that way. But probably will screw us over a little bit because I feel like we have a really good setup with the media up there, whereas it's not other places. It's really not that great. So we'll probably get bumped out eventually. But there's just a lot of growth. I think she's very optimistic with everything. I think it's going to be a lot harder than she kind of expects. But at some points already, she talked NIL. She talked about all about third-party NIL, not just rev sharing. She understands that it needs to get done, and it needs to get done ASAP. And they're already behind the 8 ball. She mentioned it. A little bit of shade here and there towards Pat and his crew, which rightfully so. But I think she has everything on the right track, and it sounds like she's building a damn good staff in the background that you'll probably hear about in the next couple weeks. And and it's just that alignment from top to bottom, not just president to AD, but president to AD to every single coach that's running a Rutgers Scarlet Knights program right now.
How about you, Alec? What were some things that stood out to you that she said?
Yeah, it feels like alignment is the biggest buzzword on campus over the last couple of months. I mean, rightfully so. But yeah, I was, like Richie said, I was pretty impressed with how in depth it kind of went from obviously our side where we asked about a lot of different things, but how prepared she was to answer all those things. I mean, just a lot of the bases were covered. Like Richie said, facilities, coaches, NIL, things like that. I thought Richie asked a good question of, what's that process looking like to evaluate coaches and things like that, where she was looking at the past 3 to 4 years and within the conference, which I thought was an interesting criteria for, kind of what have you done for me lately, looking in the recent memory. So you can think about different programs and where they might be in terms of their trajectory and kind of take what you will with that benchmark. So it was a good it was a good look into the process. And I thought she was also asked a question about, the geography of New York and Philadelphia and how to kind of relate to, Rutgers being, New York school or whatever, or New York City school at least. I thought it was interesting. She talked about she wanted to take more attention on some of the local relationships and things like that, even though there's plenty to build from New York City and Philadelphia as well. But I thought it was interesting. She said she wanted that focal point to be in New Jersey, which I thought was a good thing for obviously New Jersey school. So it was very wide ranging, but I thought she had a lot of great answers. She has some very high ambitions. And I mean, we can tell that she is going to do her absolute most to try to get to those ambitions, but it's going to be a lot of work, but it seems like she's prepared for it. She also said she's working on putting her staff together as well. There's some hires to make also. Yeah, I thought it was definitely a very good conversation, and a lot of bases were covered.
Yeah, I thought it was impressive that she was talking about seeing opportunities to kind of highlight that the New Jersey connections for Rutgers that she feels like Rutgers is currently missing out on. Um, the evaluation of coaches thing, I agree. That was something that stood out to me. Another thing that she said that I think flew a bit under the radar was that salary is going to play into expectations as well,
Mm-hmm.
where she's going to look at how your salary ranks amongst your peers and to see if your production is kind of meeting that salary. So, for example, if you're a top 30 paid coach in your specific sport, and I'm not going to pick out a specific one, and you're not producing in the last 3 or 4 years at a top 30 level for the program, I think that's going to weigh more heavily than if you're, the 100th ranked coach at your position and you're, you know, not producing. But
Piggybacking on that real quick. I know people are going to speculate and say Schiano in football. If you read the question before that, she was very, very high on Greg Schiano and what he's done for the program, and not just on the field, but also off the field. She's seen what he's done between NIL, revenue sharing, all that other good stuff. So it's not about Greg. Just put it in like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
I took it as somebody else, but
I know.
that was another thing that I forgot to mention. She was asked about the football program, and she well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
That I mean, a lot of kind of what it boiled down to what she said at one point was she felt like that, in recent, since he returned in the recent 2.0 era, it feels like he has exceeded expectations from what he's been given and kind of having to do a lot of stuff that he's that had to do for the program on his own. So, and she said that they've established good chemistry so far. The exact quote was, candidly, with what I've seen that he had and what he was working with based up on what he's accomplished competitively, I think he's exceeded a lot of the expectations because I think he's done a lot with less. And now having the capability to give him more, which is what he needs and deserves, I think his potential here is pretty incredible. So obviously she's very high on what Schiano has done and also high on what he did before when, in her opinion, he didn't have some of the resources that she felt were necessary. So now with the capability to get those resources, seems like she's very high, and it seems like they're building a good relationship, which is probably of the utmost importance.
Yeah, I think everything that she said just kind of continues the general tone of like she gets it, like is kind of my high level approach. Like she talked about some of the staff members she's looking to hire, a chief revenue officer, a chief strategy officer, I believe was one of the others. Just, she's still evaluating and seeing kind of what they have, what they need, what they're doing, what they need to be doing. But I think kind of by the end of the fall semester, I think we'll have a lot of ducks in a row and really kind of create that as a launching point for the programs moving forward. and kind of give you an example of like her kind of getting it. She gave like an anecdotal story about one of the women's programs coaches approached her recently and said, "We're going to have a stud recruit on campus, this week. We're hoping that you could meet with her and help us out here and talk to her." And so the recruit visits and it went well. And the coach approached Keli Zinn afterward and said, "Visit went well, but I don't think she's going to come here." And she said, "Well, why?" She's like, "Well, we don't have enough money to afford her." And she said, "Well, tell us what you need." And Keli Zinn said the coach gave a number, and she's like, we'll make sure that she has that. She's not going to be on campus for 2 years. By the time she's here, we will commit to making sure that money is available to her." So it's clear that like Keli Zinn knows like this is like the dollar sign is a big part of recruiting now, and she seems fully committed to making sure that those resources are available to all coaches, especially if you can get a top recruit at your specific sport to come to the school and is interested. I think she's going to make sure that she helps get those recruitments across the finish line.
Yeah, you could speculate it's women's
We
basketball.
were trying to.
It's got to be. But there was also a women's soccer recruit that just committed recently. That's like 2 years out, so maybe. But it has to be a women's basketball because Alec put the quotes, or not the quotes, the pictures out from Gigi Battle's recent visit.
And her official visit, according to her schedule at least, according to Talia Goodman, apparently the schedule was she was to visit Rutgers on August 4th and 5th, a couple weeks ago now. So timeline could possibly line up.
Yeah, but a lot of good stuff. Continuing the drumbeat of it seems like Rutgers has a good hire on their hands with Keli Zinn. Obviously, it's all just talk right now. We'll see how things actually play out when rubber hits the road. But she's saying all the right things as of 1 month into her tenure at the school. Do we miss anything that you guys thought was noteworthy from the Keli Zinn scrum this morning?
I think she just gets it. I mean, she's a very good public speaker, so obviously she wins in that battle. But I really think she just gets it. She's saying like joking. She said she joked with her dad. She's like, "I'm built for these 80-hour work weeks. Like I'm ready to do this." Like I don't think it's going to be as easy as the way she put it in words. Obviously, like nothing's easy at Rutgers, especially when it comes to raising money. But I do think that they have the right person for now that is going to try to do the right things. Like if it doesn't work with Tate and Zinn, someone said on the boards, it's like it might not ever work at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I had one more thing that kind of stuck out to me. Not a big thing, but just kind of a little thing. As she's starting to kind of fill out her staff, she was asked, or looking at people who you've worked in the past with these roles that she's looking to fill, and she said, "Yeah, you'll rarely see me go put any job out there where I don't have some level of recruitment, whether it's through myself or my staff, certainly." So I would not. Or excuse me, my mic glitched out. I would not be surprised if we see any staff hires that either come from LSU or maybe someone that she worked with at West Virginia or somewhere along the line. It seems like the staff that she wants to put together are people that she trusts and that she's worked with, or has or someone else that she's worked with can vouch for, something like that. It seems like she has a circle that she likes to look back on, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of the hires for any of the roles that she talks about would be from people that she's familiar with.
Yeah, which would make sense. I mean, that's 90% of hires, it seems, are in general people that you have worked with in the past in these kind of situations. So, yeah, Rutgers might be LSU North by this time next year with all the hires that they make. All right, let's transition to a little football talk here. Greg Schiano gave his game week presser to the media today. Like I said, he spoke for about 20 minutes. He gave this kind of the State of the Union speech before you guys spoke, before you were able to ask questions, rather. He announced that Rutgers has 4 captains this year. The 4 captains are Athan Kaliakmanis on offense. He's a returning captain from last year. Gus Zelinskis, the starting center, is the other offensive captain. On defense, Jordan Walker is the latest walk-on captain, not the designated, there's not a walk-on captain every year. He just kind of went on to talk about how it's another captain who started off as a walk-on. And the final captain is DJ Jabome, which should not surprise given that he was the representative for Rutgers at Big Ten Media Day. He's been available to the media to speak several times. I think a common thread with who he chooses to create or to, who become captains or players that deal with a lot of adversity, whether it be Athan, changing schools and having to reacclimate to a new program and winning that job. DJ Jabome with his, he was an underrated kid out of Canada, ends up, getting a scholarship and enrolling in the span of, 48 hours. And then Jordan Walker started off as a tight end walk-on, ends up transitioning to defense and is now one of the better players on the defense. So just guys who have grown a lot in the program, a lot of respect from their teammates. Then Greg moved on to discussing a little bit of Ohio. Had a lot of really good things to say about Parker Navarro. He even went as far to say if he was 3 inches taller, that he would probably be at a school like Notre Dame. He hyped up the tight end. He hyped up the running back on Ohio. Kind of spoke to the defensive front. Not really. They had to watch like a lot of tape from their old schools and try and figure out like how they might be utilized in this new school. Because not only does Ohio have a new head coach, not a new coaching staff, but basically their entire front six, which is more you'll hear about tomorrow with our preview pod, as new. But he also was very complimentary about the pass catchers. 4 or 5 are returning for the Bobcats, and also the secondary, who basically returns intact from last year as well. So that's the table setting. Alec, what were some things that he said in the Q&A or in his monologue that was noteworthy that made your ears prick up?
For one, they will not be overlooking Ohio in the slightest. If they lose this game, it's not because they were looking ahead to Miami of Ohio or were overlooking the MAC opponents. At least outwardly, Schiano and the team, they know the challenge they're up against. He called them a championship-level program multiple times. Talked a lot about, like you said, Mike, how strong they are in terms of their continuity and how strong they are as a culture, as a team, and things like that. So if Rutgers does in fact fall to Ohio, it's not going to be because they were overlooking them or, kind of downplaying them or anything like that. I thought it was interesting how much he talked about Ohio with their culture and their program. Another thing that kind of stuck out to me, less about Ohio, but kind of in general, he mentioned the defense as a point that's still looking to improve and still a work in progress, which kind of tells us that unit's not, totally ready and they may struggle to start the year, especially against a quarterback like Parker Navarro, who can do a lot to a defense to kind of put their heads spinning. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was also interesting. You mentioned, I asked him about like the change from just training camp mindset to preparing for a particular opponent. He said that after training camp,
before you say the answer, he gave you a double good question, which
that he
is
did.
a high honor from Greg Schiano.
That he did. I guess he was very. He might have been just waiting to talk about that, but I did in fact earn that distinction. But I thought it was interesting. He mentioned so the coaches had been doing Ohio prep for a little bit. Even I want to say during training camp. I could be wrong, but in between, the end of the training camp and the start of game prep, they gave the players 2 days off, a couple days away from the team, just to let their minds reset, which I think is definitely it's tough to change focus when you're still in the midst of working so hard during training camp and then going straight to game prep. It can be difficult. So just giving them a quick mind reset, I think it was a good move. So just an aside there, I thought it was interesting talking about that change in preparation. It just seems like he's still very high on the offense, and then the defense might take a little bit longer, might still be a bit of a work in progress, but I thought it was. I mean, it's usual game week stuff, talking about the opponent, things like that. He's always very complimentary of the opponent. Never going to give him any bulletin board material, but yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was pretty interesting. There are a couple of good nuggets, but overall, you're not going to see too much.
How about you, Rich? What stood out about the presser today?
A lot of Ohio talk. I feel like we've all been trying to hear about Parker Navarro for a minute now. He's going to cause fits for Rutgers, and I don't want to get like too much into a preview, but that mobile quarterback, like he mentioned, like Greg mentioned, he threw for 2,400, 2,500 yards last year. He also ran for like damn near 1,000. Like the kid is good. Like he's going to cause fits. The walk-on thing's interesting because they do have that plaque on the wall right outside the not the gym. What do you call it? Weight room. Right outside the weight room. So this is, I think if I did the math right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the 14th walk-on since 1993 to serve as a captain.
Wow.
So, I mean, Joe Lusardi was the past couple years, Lawrence Stevens, Darnell Davis, Paul James, Michael Burton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Surprised Holland Pierce never got named captain now that I think about it. But
yeah, that is surprising.
Anyway, I think Jordan Walker's damn good too. I think he deserves it. I mean, the kid went from tight end to wide receiver to defensive end and was the leading sack guy last year. Like they are guys like that deserve it. And it seems like there's always one every year. So it's a shame because I don't know how much longer we'll see that with the new scholarship limits and all that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, Greg basically said he was a walk-on. So if it wasn't already clear, I mean, the guy who had the most sacks last year is now probably on scholarship. Other than that, like, he didn't say a whole lot. I think that everyone's just very excited for the season, specifically him too. Like, he just seems like he's just very happy and very like excited to see what his team can do. And again, we'll get more into the previews tomorrow, but I do think there's slight concerns about the defense from the media, from the people, from the coaches even. He mentioned it kind of. But I do think that this is going to be one of the better teams in Rutgers history when it's all said and done. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, they still have to play the games, but I think everyone, the whole vibe around Rutgers is just very optimistic.
He was also more demonstrative today. If you watch the video that's up on our YouTube now, when he was describing Jordan Walker, he's like with his build, he was like at one point he was like, with that build, so a lot of he's the type of guy, and he's either like whoop or swoop or something like that. That's the guys are going to take away from you. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, Schiano's he seems to really kind of get gassed up for especially like post-game pressers. Like, he's very the inner Italian just comes jumping out of him with these hand movements and the funny little anecdotes and the funny little sayings.
Yeah, he was a human today. Put it like that.
Yeah, he was a human being. Yeah, it's nice to see, Coach. Do more of that. We all love to see the personality come out. But you guys also, is there anything before we move on to the players? Anything Greg said in addition to what we've already talked about that you want to touch on?
I don't think so, really. That's basically it.
All right, so you guys also got a few minutes with Athan Kaliakmanis and Oliver Billotte. This is the first time you guys have spoke to Oliver Billotte, and the fourth or fifth time you've spoken to Athan this offseason already.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Athan was in a great mood from what you guys said. You guys want to just talk about generally what Athan had to talk about today? Richie, you start.
Okay. Yeah, he was just very giddy. I don't think there's a better word to describe it. Like, the man was all smiles, smirking. Like, you asked him about the offense, he was just like, "Oh man, like, yeah, I'm excited. Just wait." Like, I think he knows what they have on offense. I think we all know what they have on offense. This is the best offense on paper in probably since 1.0, probably since not just 1.0, probably dating back to that Tyquan Underwood, like Shaw. Who else was on that? Tyquan Underwood, Tid Brown, and who was the third? Oh, Kenny Brett. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Should have known that. Yeah, but probably dating back to like that 07, 06 offense. Like, this offense has so much potential. It's kind of insane. Everyone returns for the most part. Like, you're missing one or two pieces, but I think he's kind of showing that excitement just through talking to us. And I know you guys don't have the video, and there is no video on this interview, but like, he just looked all smiles throughout the whole entire thing, just talking about the wide receiver room, the running backs, the offensive line. It didn't matter what he was talking about this team on offense. He was just very excited. And I just don't know if you can contain it much more. I think that everyone's just ready to play some football.
How about you, Alec? Anything from the players that stood out?
Yeah, not too much different from what Richie said. One thing I asked him was, talking about some of the position battles at running back and at offensive tackle, two things that Schiano himself mentioned. They're still kind of formulating themselves out. He kind of has an idea, but they're going to still work it out. But I was asked, I asked him, how do you stay ready for those moments and make sure you're with those guys all the time and whatever, so you're ready for whatever combination might be out there during the game time. And I thought his answer was really good. He said, basically, whoever's out there means the coaches have confidence in them, which means I'm going to trust them, which was a pretty good answer for the team's leader. So yeah, it seems like everyone's just raring to go for the season. It feels like this has been a very long off season, very busy off season. And now in about, 74 hours, you get to kick off.
Yeah, and it's going to be a busy 72 hours too, because we have a ton of content coming your way over the next few days. Just running it down to you right now. This pod released on Monday afternoon, going over the pressers tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. If you're an early riser, 6 a.m., We have the Rutgers, Ohio preview with Cam Robertson, who is the sports editor of the Athens Messenger. It's a local paper that covers everything Ohio sports. So don't miss that. Cam was great. Then tomorrow night, we were recording a 2-part season preview with the blowout crew that we had last year. We got all 3 of us. We got David Anderson from the Scarlet Faithful. We got Aaron Brightman from the Scarlet Faithful. We got Larry K from Night Watch. All 6 of us will be giving our thoughts on the offense, defense. We'll do our season predictions. We'll talk about what went wrong last year, what Rutgers needs to fix going into this year, X factors, things we're paying most attention to. You're not going to get a more concentrated Rutgers season preview than this preview. So that episode, the offense and last year's anecdotes, will be released on Wednesday morning first thing. And then our defense and schedule projection will be on Thursday morning. So game day morning, if you're in your tailgate lot, just turn on the Night Report podcast feed and you got at least 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours of content just from this week. And then you thought we were done. We're not done. After the game, we're going to do a live post-game show. It's going to be us 3. Who else? I don't know. Maybe we'll have some special guests. I think we're going to have more people on those post-game shows this year than we did last year.
I think we send out the link this year. I think this is the year we have some people cursing on the phone one game.
We might, if you're interested in something like this, of a call-in line or ways that you can kind of interact with the show outside of chat, we're open to discussion. So in the comments section below, talk about how you want to be involved with the post-game shows. But that will be probably between 10 and 11. It's tricky because it's all kind of dictated by when Schiano's post-game presser is over, because these guys stick behind and take the presser. I drive back to Pennsylvania and get home, and usually they match up pretty well between the time I get home and I'm sitting down and maybe relaxed a little bit, and that presser and everything's done. So that is what we have in store for you this week. So stay tuned to the feed and stay tuned to the boards, because it is going to be a hot and heavy week in terms of content coming from us. But
we better hear our own voices walking through the yellow a lot on Thursday.
I'm going to be pissed. And if I don't get a free
I don't want to hear club music. I want to hear my own voice. I want to hear my egotistical ass blasting through speakers, because that's the way I am. All right. Anything that we missed before we head out of here, guys?
I got something. We didn't even talk about how Schiano mentioned the return game. Holy shit, it might be happening. Are we back?
They did say that they have several returners based on different scenarios. So
you brought in one recently in Partridge. You had DT Sheffield. It was a dog last year. I mean, you got options. Just saying. I can't believe we didn't mention that. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think this is going to be such a good year. Like, not just for Rutgers football, but for the Night Report and Rutgers on 3. And if you haven't signed up yet, sign up now for $1 and you get the $1 for the first week, plus a complimentary year of access to The Athletic also included. That is the 2-for-1 gift special. And you get all the inside information, and you get shit from us too, which is also fun.
Yeah, everyone loves us.
And I am feeling better and better about a potential over bet for Rutgers on the over-under win total. Looking up what it currently is on FanDuel. I know it was like minus 140 for 5.5, which isn't great, but I do feel like Rutgers will hit that over this year. It is currently sitting at minus 154 over 5.5. It literally like just changed as I opened the app. So not a great. It got a lot of juice there. So it's probably not worth the squeeze, but I do like the odds that Rutgers hits that over. But stay tuned, strap in. Alec, you got one more thing.
Yeah, it's well, this is unfortunately on the sadder end. It is unfortunately cut down day in the NFL. A couple of Rutgers guys unfortunately did not make the team. Tyreen Powell did not make the Saints' final 53-man roster. Shaquan Loyal also did not make the Saints, or not the Bengals' 53-man roster. Any other cuts? I think most of we haven't heard.
Miller.
Oh yeah, Demi Miller got waived by the Jets a couple days ago now. I'm not sure about the Ravens with Degbin Igbenos, and we're assuming that Robert
Holland Pierce.
Yeah.
I don't know if he made it.
Nothing on Igbenosson yet.
I'd be shocked if he made it. He was not playing with the first or second or really even third team. He was hurt, I think, this camp, so he's probably going to be a training camp practice squad stash.
Yeah, we're assuming that Kyle Mononga is going to make the Bears roster. Robert Longerbeam probably going to make the Ravens roster. I feel like he wouldn't have gotten surgery if he wasn't going to make it. Same with Keontae Hamilton, got hurt as well.
So he's on the IR, so he's
safe on the roster.
Yeah, he's
okay.
safe on the,
Okay.
under team control rather.
Yeah. Any other?
Supposedly.
Right. Yeah. Apparently he was well on his way to make it even before the injury. Let's see. Any other guys on the fringes that we're missing?
Trey Avery just got, I believe, traded to Tampa Bay.
Signed with Tampa. He had a waiver claim. Yeah, waiver claim.
Apparently, he played quite well in their last preseason game, despite not practicing with the team at all. So it's a good sign.
Eric Rogers will be one to monitor. He had a really strong preseason performance. He had 2 interceptions in one game, including pick 6. It sounds like, I'd be shocked if he doesn't make the team.
The highest PFF grade of any defender in preseason this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's
impressive.
Pretty good.
I knew Jaquay Jackson is healthy again. He has been playing in the preseason. I don't know.
He was with the Chargers too, right?
That sounds right. Yeah, he was with the Pats last year when he got hurt.
Yeah. I feel like he was with the Chargers.
No news on him yet.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see more as it goes on. I had one last thing also. Before we sign off,
now, but sure.
Okay, well, whatever. So Rutgers women's basketball releases non-conference schedule. Interesting schedule here. A lot of what we usually see. That's kind of how it goes along college basketball. A lot of teams are local, not the highest ranked. A couple of games I'm looking out for. Quinnipiac was very good last year. One of the top mid-major teams. Unfortunately, they also play in the MAC conference, which also has fellow mid-major buzzsaw Fairfield. But their star player went to Miami. They still have most of the infrastructure back, same coach, so they still should be pretty good. At Auburn is very interesting, mostly because they're playing on the road at Auburn. You don't usually see a Big Ten SEC home and home as much anymore nowadays.
Not yet.
Yeah, we could see a Big Ten SEC challenge come back. But Auburn came to Rutgers 2 years ago and won. They're returning the favor now. Also, Maya Petticourt facing her former team after 2 years at Rutgers, now at Auburn. That game should be an interesting one. Also at Princeton, Rutgers has played Princeton a bunch of times now. They alternate home and away. At Jadwin 2 years ago, they were home last year. And then Northeastern, James Spinelli, the new assistant coach and director of analytics, he was there for the last 2 years, so not a revenge game per se, but should be some familiarity there. Yeah, that's pretty much it on the schedule. I would say 7 wins should be the benchmark, I would say, in this slate. There's a couple swing games that could go either way, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
Well, now that we've lost everyone, we will see you guys later this week. Like I said, we got a lot of content. I'm just kidding, Alec. Alec is the resident women's basketball expert at the Night Report. Not Talia Goodman. It is Alec Krauthamel who.
Oh wow! Now everyone's gonna come for my head. Everyone in the country is gonna come for my head.
The Tal Hive.
Yeah. I don't know if there is one, but just because you said that, there's going to be one.
Yeah, probably. All right, we've gone off the rails. Thanks once again for listening. Thanks to everybody who's rated and reviewed recently. We did hit that 200 reviews mark on Apple Podcasts. So thank you to all of the new reviews. We do really appreciate you guys. Each and every one helps the show grow. And we hope to have a pretty big growth year this year. Expect big things from the football team. Season kicks off Thursday. Got a ton of content coming at you this week, like I previously said. So strap in. For me, Alec, and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.